Hey, everybody. I'm Lisa Campion, and this is the Miracle of Healing. Today, we're exploring one of the more mysterious and often misunderstood dimensions of healing. We're going to talk about spirit attachment, energetic interference, and how unresolved energies from unseen realms can profoundly impact our mental, emotional, and even our physical health. Our guest today is Ellie Pechet, a metaphysician, medium, shaman, and author with over 33 years of experience in the healing arts. She's the creator of the Pechet Healing Technique, a highly effective method for identifying and clearing emotional and physical issues at a cellular level, often with immediate and lasting results. Her work is known for permanently resolving deep seated conditions from chronic pain, trauma, depression, spiritual disturbances, and more. So she's got a new book, Hitching a Ride, A Guide to Earthbound Spirits and How They Affect You. And this book sheds light on the hidden influence of spirit attachments, offers guidance on how to compassionately release these energies and restore balance to our bodies, mind, and spirit. So stay tuned for this conversation where we're going to talk about different kinds of spirit attachments, how they show up in our lives, and how deep energetic healing can support our freedom, vitality, and soul level clarity. So, welcome to the show, Ellie.
Nice to be here. Thanks, Lisa.
So, it's such a fascinating conversation, um, and I know in my years and years of doing energy work on people, I've definitely encountered my fair share of spirit attachments, for sure. But tell us how you got into this work and what sort of brought you to focus on that aspect.
Yeah, that's a great question, Lisa. I actually didn't go looking for it. I didn't go looking to be a shaman or anything like that. I really was just I was working with a client one day in my private practice in Buzzards Bay, Massachusetts, and all of a sudden I realized that I was aware there was another being with her, with the client. And I tuned in and as I paid attention, it's kind of like tuning into an old-fashioned radio station, right? You kind of adjust the knob, or we used to adjust the knob. Remember those days?
Yep.
So I know you know what I mean. And anyway, so as I tuned in, I got a clearer sense of who was with her, and it was an old woman who had died and either missed her window of opportunity to go to the light or was afraid to leave and ended up becoming earthbound. And she attached to this client without the client's knowing. And people might have a sense sometimes, but they don't usually know that there's a spirit or some other type of entity with them. And anyway, I was able to join the woman inside of the client energetically. And like I said, I had never done this before. I had never looked for it. I just all of a sudden found myself remembering how to do this process from
Hmm.
past lifetimes. And I remember sitting with the woman and just encouraging her very gently to to let go and to go to the light. And she finally agreed and said I could help her. And so I basically carried her out in my arms. I still remember this, and this was so many years ago. And then she was able to move on to the light. So it was a healing for the spirit and for the client.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think sometimes we, as practitioners, we never really know what we're going to get, and we have to deal with whatever is, coming towards us. And I don't know. I feel like you have some real, um, serious skill here as a shaman and as it's a funny word to say, but an exorcist. It's sort of like a specific skill that some psychics have around removing entities. Seeing them and removing. Not everybody is tuned into that channel, and not everybody can do that kind of work.
That's very true. I was
Yeah.
I was gifted and blessed in a way because it's been a big part of my work all these years. One of the two main branches of my of the healing work that I've been doing.
Mm. And you've really formulated your own methodology. Can you tell us about it?
The Pechet Healing Technique?
Yes.
Yeah, sure, I'd love to. I am a natural born shaman, and I do um, I do help a lot of I have helped a lot of spirits uh, go back to the light, and other entities go, where they need to go. But honestly, my passion is healing emotional issues for clients, such as grief, depression, anxiety, and trauma. That's really what I love to do, because it sets people free who've been suffering for a long time, sometimes all their lives, until they come to me for healing work, which I mostly do remotely, which again is another thing that I'm very grateful for, that I can be effective working with someone on the computer, and just as much as if they were in person. In fact, I also work with I, I work with family members using their pictures. I
Mhm.
don't have to even meet with them, and then the mother or the main client will report back to me and let me know, the shifts, and it's pretty amazing.
That's so cool. And your technique, is it something that you teach or is it just something that you use for yourself?
It's not something that I teach. It's Spirit helped me get clear about this a long time ago, that I cannot teach the vibration that I came in with, which is really
Yeah.
high. And uh, so the best use of what I'm here to do this lifetime is to heal as many people as possible, and rather than try to teach or brand what I do with other people. And it's really important to me to do what I do best, and what is going to have the most impact on humanity. And that's the actual healing that I do.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And you said you're a natural shaman and that maybe you got your gifts, you sort of remembered your gifts from other lifetimes. So tell us a little bit about that remembering, or how did you realize that's what you were doing?
Sure. I think I write about this in my book also, Hitching a Ride. Um, I The memory that I have is of being a male shaman in a life that was a very wonderful life when it came to service and work, and being of service. Um, and people would line up outside the teepee. It was a Native American lifetime, as I mentioned, and people would line up outside the teepee and come in one at a time, and I would remove the entities that were with them. And that's the main life that I draw on when I started remembering how to do the entity removal work. And I remember being married, and my wife in that life would bring me trays of food to help keep up my strength and help keep me going, so that I could serve as many people as I could, kind of like
Mhm.
this life.
I know. It sounds like you're still doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about these entities attachments for people maybe who don't know, haven't heard of that concept before. What are they? How do they get on us? And how do we know that they're there?
Well, personality changes, sudden anger or increased anger. Uh, Someone could be experiencing grief about losing a beloved, and all of a sudden the grief increases significantly. It's changes to the personality. That's what the listeners can, look for, if they're wondering if that might be a possibility, that they have an entity. And the way that people can tell if someone that they care about or someone they're in relationship with has an entity is the same thing. Personality changes, kind of a um, kind of a dead look in their eyes, or it could be a very intense look, like they're not alone. If you look at the news and you see any of the school shootings or mass shootings, and when they show their mugshot, every time when you look at their face, it's like there's a deadness. There isn't you don't really see a life force. There's like a blank stare. Does that help?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. It does. I think that's a great definition. And what are they? Like I mean, in my experience, like we have spirit guides, our spirit team, and they're like the helpful spirits that are around us. These entities are spirits, but they're not helpful. Like they're parasitic or they're interfering in some way with us. So what are they actually, do you think?
Well, I'd love to share a little bit about maybe a couple of people I've healed grief
Yeah.
for very quickly. Um, what are they? Well, the most common is the earthbound spirit, someone who dies,
Mm.
and it could be like a sudden shocking death, like a car accident or a heart attack, something that was unexpected, and so the spirit can go into shock when their physical vessel dies, and they become confused and might be they don't really know where to go, and so they just sort of stay here, and then they look for a person uh, to hang around with, and that they'll hover around them initially, and then they'll say to themselves at one point, well, I'd like to kind of be able to eat and drink, and sort of this will be the next best thing to being in a body, if I can go inside of this person, if I can merge inside this person. And then, because they're pure energy and they don't have the physical frame that we have, uh, they can just slip in very easily, and then the person has a spirit attachment. And you're absolutely right, it is like being an exorcist, because I'm exorcising
Mhm.
unwanted energies from the client.
Fascinating. And yeah, I'd love to hear some stories. You said you had some examples that you can share?
Yeah. So one example I'd like to share is, speaking of car accidents. The client had been in a rollover. She was with her husband. They were driving, and someone hit them from behind. And the truck rolled over, and she started to see the light. She really was almost died. And she was left with really bad PTSD and was afraid to get on the highway after that, until she came to me. And in one of her sessions, I cleared the trauma from that rollover. And then the next day, she was able to drive comfortably on the highway.
Mm.
So I really pride myself on getting results, on being efficient. Um, it's pretty much, I pretty much clear the most significant issue every session. So people, can bring their list and cross off uh, you know, the first one, and then the next session, the second one, and then, I mean, it's really efficient, Lisa. And
Mm.
so and then another one is a guy who lost his wife after they'd been married 60 or 65 years, and they were best friends. Um, and when she died, it actually affected his vision, and he started having blurred vision. And he needed to get special glasses, especially for driving. And so when he came to me, he was actually brought to me by a friend. uh, he was suffering from tremendous grief, and this eye problem. So I was able to first worked with him on the grief and brought him to peace about losing his wife, which I love to do. Um, I really love to do it because people are in so much anguish when they're
Mm,
grieving and they become shut down and you know discussion groups really don't help very much at all. It kind of
right.
keeps the cycle going, right? If anything. So I cleared his grief and then I moved on to his eyes, and there's that body mind spirit connection, right? So the eye problem developed very soon after she died because he couldn't see that she had died. He couldn't fathom that he had lost his lifelong partner, and it manifested in affecting his eyesight. So I did a couple of sessions with him on that, and his eyesight returned to normal, and he was able to ditch the glasses, the special glasses for driving.
I love that deep healing experience, that sort of like, I mean, my show's called The Miracle of Healing, right? And that's those deep transformational moments, and it is really hard to clear people's trauma at that deep level so quickly, so, that's amazing. You can do that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, you talk a little bit, about, like, how do people become earthbound when they die? Like, what's going on there that they can't cross, and what needs to happen so that they can?
Yeah. So another example of what will cause a person to become stuck on the earth plane is fear of going to the other side. So uh, punitive religions that
Mm,
preach
hell.
punishment and hell and damnation, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a brainwashing, right?
Mm,
And so when they die, the personality is still the personality. And it's the same as when they were in the body. So if they had fears of what was going to happen when they die, that would be a good uh, reason for them to because we all have free will to decide to stay here out of fear of what might happen. And so the more we can educate people that going to the light is a good thing, it's really important for the soul to move on and progress, the better. I don't see it as entertainment. A lot of people, there are businesses that make a profit from earthbound spirits or ghosts that are inhabiting their business. And uh, I think really the most humane and compassionate thing to do is to assist them or find someone like myself who can assist them to go to the light, not make money off them. They're stuck. They're stuck as souls.
Yeah.
So compassion is in order.
I feel the same way. I live about 10 minutes away from Lizzie Borden's house in Fall River,
Oh,
Massachusetts, and that's sort of like paranormal tourism, that, um where, like you said, people are coming, they're doing seances, they're doing Ouija boards, they're doing all kinds of kind of paranormal activity that I think kicks up the activity in that house. And
absolutely.
I'm not sure Lizzie's still there, but I know plenty of other spirits are that, because there are all those people doing those kinds of things to call them forward, and
Mm,
I mean, I feel like, human soul, we're not really meant to be like zoo animals on display, right? We're, like you said, for entertainment. That it is the purpose that we have as healers is to help move them along into the light.
that's right. And you're reminding me of, I went on a ghost tour on Cape Cod many years ago, uh, and I lagged behind, and every time we went to a so-called haunted house, I would tune in if there was a earthbound spirit there, I would send it to the light.
Mm. And when we talk about sending them, I'm sure the ghost tours love that, but, um, and when we talk about sending them to the light, what does that mean? Like, where do they go?
Well, that's probably a whole conversation for maybe for another time, but it's also known as home, so that's where the we review our life, our most recent life, and we have an opportunity to see everything that we did, things that we're proud of and things that we might regret or wish we had done differently. And so that's why it's really important that we be accountable and responsible of our actions and our behavior while we're on the earth plane, because we are going to see everything that we did when we're on the other side.
Mm. Yeah, I used to call it, I never really called it heaven when I was little, I called it soul world because it's, like, where all the souls went when we're not here, but heaven seemed like too much of a religious concept for me, so I always
Hmm.
called it soul world, yeah. That's
Nice. I
so
like
cool.
that. That's cute.
Yeah. Let's talk about your book a little bit, Hitching a Ride. So, um, how did you come to write that, and what was the impact of writing it on you?
Oh my goodness. It was a labor of love. It took 7 years, and
Wow.
it really, yeah, I know. It was because there's a lot of case studies in it. And I'm really glad that I did it. It feels like it was a really important part of my mission this lifetime. And the purpose of writing it was to help increase the public's awareness that earthbound spirits and other entities are real, and they can actually help prevent people from needing to get surgery. They can, by removing them, they can, uh, you know, a lot of times the need for psychotropic medications will decrease. And so say someone comes to me and she has a history of depression, and she also has a spirit attachment. Well, first I'll remove the spirit attachment, and that already helps the depression. And then I start clearing the depression and what the contributing causes were, often stemming from childhood. And I also have a really rare ability to clear issues that a fetus picked up in the womb from his or her mother. So, and this is very common and it's not talked about very much. But if the mother, when she's carrying her baby, is struggling with depression or
Mm,
anxiety, or she's dealing with, she's being abused, the baby will pick up on whatever her mother is experiencing. And then when she or he is born, the depression, anxiety, trauma, whatever it is that they pick up in the womb, will follow them the rest of their lives,
mm,
until, I mean, that's the type of thing, that's one of another favorite thing that I really love to clear, because they try everything. They go to a lot of practitioners, and it's like it becomes their life. Uh, it takes so much of their time and energy to figure out and try to heal this, and I can heal it in a few sessions, and then they're done. And my motivation is not only to bring them to peace, but for them to get going with whatever their mission is, whatever their purpose is for being here this life.
beautiful, beautiful. And Ellie, if people wanted to work with you or get your book, how would they do that?
Yeah, they can go to my website, phoenixrisinghealing.com. There it is. And they can order the book on the website. People love the book. I get positive feedback all the time. And if they want, they can either sign up for a session to get in sooner, or they can sign up for a 20-minute consultation. And I think I'm booked up until sometime in June, maybe mid-June, for consultations. So again, they could
Mhm.
either just sign up for a session to experience it and get their top issue healed, or one of the discount packages that I offer, for 4 session packages, 8 and 12. And
Mm,
the reason I came up with the 12 session package was either to help someone who has a lot of issues that wants 12 issues cleared, or to help with them and maybe a spouse or
mhm.
uh, children. That's why I came up with the 12 session package. So I really try to make it work for everybody.
That's great. Well, good luck with your book, and I assume your book can be bought on Amazon and all places where other books are sold. Yeah. So, thank you so much for being on the show today, Ellie. It's been an amazing conversation, and I find that a fascinating topic. So, thanks for being here today.
Well, thanks for having me. It's really nice to connect with you.
If you guys are looking for me, you can find me at lisacampion.com. I work with mostly with psychics, healers, and empaths that are really looking to maximize their gifts, understand their gifts, step into their gifts. Because, man, I think the world needs all the healers they can get. Thank you so much for joining us on the Miracle of Healing, where we are saving the planet one person at a time right here on the Empowered channel.